Yo, what is going on, everybody? My name is Max Apparel, and welcome to my 30,000 subscribers Q&A, which is a number I honestly never thought we'd reach. I know everybody always says that, but literally, like, when I started YouTube, I didn't think it'd go this far at all. It's crazy how far our little community has come, and I hope you guys all enjoyed this little Q&A to celebrate. Also, I just wanted to mention you guys asked tons and tons of questions. I'm talking like literally hundreds. And so I just wanted to say sorry if I wasn't actually able to answer your question in this video, but I still really appreciate everyone who did ask questions on Twitter with the hashtag AskMax30k. So hopping into our first question here, Resign asks, what were your expectations when you first started YouTube? When I first initially started YouTube, I've had multiple YouTube channels over time. In fact, this channel right now that you're watching this video on is actually pretty new. I made it in the summer of 2015, and I plan on sticking with this channel. I really hope there's no reason I would have to go and make a new one. When I first started YouTube on like my first ever channel, which I think had like 11 subs before I actually made a new one for whatever reason, I don't even remember at that point. I think it was back in like 2011, and at that time when I first started doing YouTube, I didn't even know you could actually get paid for doing this. I just thought it was something fun to do. Like I said, I never ever expected it to come as far as we have. This was always just something I had a lot of fun doing, and it was just a hobby for me. It wasn't until my senior year of high school, 2014 to 2015, when I actually decided, you know, this is something I actually want to pursue as a career. YouTube is something that I've always been very, very passionate about, and there was really nothing else that I actually saw me making a career out of at the time. But yeah, to fully answer your question, Resign, when I first started YouTube, I didn't really have any expectations for it. It was just something I did for fun on the side, and I didn't actually become serious about it until my senior year of high school, like I said. But on to the next question. Alana asks, are there any new horror games you're planning on playing? So as you guys know, I think the only AAA horror game that was coming out this year was Resident Evil 7, and I really enjoyed that game. I think that was the best AAA title we've seen since like Alien Isolation, I think, back in 2014. And so Resident Evil 7 was a very good game. There is actually another AAA game made by Bethesda coming out in May called Prey, and that game, you guys might have seen me tweet about it a few times. It looks really interesting. It's not supposed to be a full-on horror game, I don't think. It's supposed to be more of like a sci-fi thriller, but that game looks really interesting, and other than that, I don't think there's any other actual like AAA horror games coming out this year. There are a few indie horror games coming out this year that I am really excited for. Obviously, you guys know Outlast 2 is coming out next month, which I am so excited for. Outlast is one of the most recognizable horror games in the world right now, and Red Barrels is such a great studio. I love how they interact with their fans. And so yes, a lot of you guys asked me if I was going to be making a playthrough of Outlast 2, and yes, of course I am. Any big horror games you guys can expect, I'll probably make a playthrough on it. And then there's also another one coming out. I don't know when that comes out, actually. I think it's sometime soon. There's another indie horror game coming out soon that I saw PewDiePie play. It was called Little Nightmares. He played the demo for it. It's not so much horror as it is just sort of like really creepy, and like, I don't know. The whole setting of that game just really gives you an eerie vibe. It looks really interesting though, and so I might pick up that one for a playthrough as well. But on to some more questions here. We've got Ice asking, do you miss being in XJMX? Are you going to join another team soon, or are you done with teams? To answer the first one, do I miss being in XJMX? I mean, kinda, sorta. I was never really close friends with anyone in XJMX, and I think that's one reason why I left Obey too, obviously. Being in a team and being in this sort of brand and not being good friends with anyone is kind of sucky. It's not that I didn't like anyone in the team. Of course, there were people I liked, and there were people I considered my friend, I guess, but there was never anyone that I actually, you know, played with on a regular basis, and that's the same reason I left Obey. And if I would ever join another team, I would have to have friends in it. I don't think I would want to be a part of a team ever again unless there's people that I actually know that I'm friends with in it. That's why I said I don't think I'm ever going to join another team. Obviously, you know, people have asked me if I would want to join FaZe. Obviously, who wouldn't want to join FaZe? But if we're talking about any other team in the community, I think Soar is the only one I would actually join because, you know, Rye, Thief, and Revex are all in it. They're all in the Grind Squad Discord, and I talk to them all the time. But other than that, I don't think there's any other team I would actually want to join right now. On to the next question, though. Braxton Tanner asks, at what subscriber milestone do you think you will quit your job? So obviously, you guys know YouTube is not my, you know, main source of income right now. I do live in an apartment, and there is a job that I have to go to on the weekdays to pay rent and everything, but I don't think an actual subscriber milestone would actually make me quit my job. It would just be, you know, the money. And now we're gonna get a bunch of YouTube comments saying, oh, you're only in it for the money. It would never be an actual subscriber milestone that would make me quit my job. It would just be, you know, the first paycheck that I get from YouTube that is more than I'm actually making at work. I would quit the job right then and there. I've told that to people before, and this is something Jason actually told me too, because I know the first paycheck he got that was bigger than the one he was making making it work. He quit the job immediately. And he told me something very inspirational, which I'll never forget, honestly. He said that even if his channel got deleted or if all the views just dropped automatically, he would still be able to say that he was able to do what he loved for a living for at least 1 month of his life. And that hit me like really hard when he told me that. Like, that's super inspirational to me, at least. But yeah, obviously I'm still a long ways off, but the first paycheck that I do get from YouTube that is more than I'm making at this job that I'm working right now, I'll quit the job immediately. And even if, you know, my channel fails or my channel gets deleted or, you know, whatever happens, I'll still be able to say that I was able to do what I loved for a living for at least 1 month of my life. And that's more than a lot of people can say, I think. On to our next question. Matthew Smith asks, when do you think your next Maxtage is coming out? When it comes to my Maxtages, I really like to have a variety of games in them, as you guys could probably tell by the last few. Both Maxtage 1 and Maxtage 2 had a large variety of games. There were horror games, playthroughs, and like some COD videos in there too. And because of that and all the work that goes into them with the subtitles too, Maxtages aren't something that I actually want to make every few months. It's more of like a once a year thing, maybe twice a year. And because I like having that large variety of games, it just takes a while for me to actually make videos on a bunch of different types of games before I'm actually ready to put them all together for a Maxtage. But if I could give you an estimate of when I thought Maxtage 3 would come out, I would say either like the end of this summer 2017 or like maybe later in the fall. It'll definitely be before the end of the year though, you can expect that. But on to our next question, we've got Noobface asking, you ever heard of memes? No, I've never heard of memes. Scrub in a Tub asks, how tall are you? I am I'm shorter than Jason, and Jason's pretty short, or average as he calls it. But I think I'm the same height as like Apex, I think, because I know Jason's a little taller than Apex. Jason's like what, 5'10", 5'11", I think? And me, Gilly, and Dirty, we're all around the same height. All of us are like 5'7", 5'8", 5'9". I haven't actually been measured in a long ass time. I don't think since like high school, and I've been graduated for 2 years now. But I'm like right around 5'8" or 5'9", I think. The next question is from Gilly asking, teach your girlfriend how to play COD. Okay, so the last time we gave Guadalupe a controller, she thought it was an advanced sex toy, so that's never happening again. Next question is from Bob asking, what was college and or high school like for you? So I've actually been to both. A lot of people think that I just skipped college completely, but I actually did go to college for like, it was like half of my senior year and then a little bit after I graduated too. So I guess it was like a full year I was in college for. It wasn't like a big campus or anything like that. It was just a small little community college, and honestly, I hated both of them. High school was never really fun for me because I never had any friends. There was never a group that I just clicked with. I grew up in one of those small farm towns where literally like everybody knows everybody. A good 5% of the school was stoners, another 5% was, you know, math geeks, the people that were smart and the jocks and stuff like that, and then 90% of the school was all just, you know, hicks. There was not a group of people that just enjoyed playing video games, and so I really didn't click with anyone because that's all I ever did was play video games. And so I stopped going to college, I got a job, and here we are in my apartment. So for this next question, there were actually a couple people who asked me sort of the same thing, and so I'm just putting them all together in one question. They were basically asking me where I personally think I'm going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever, just where I think I'm going to be in the future with YouTube and everything. And honestly, I don't have like an actual set goal in mind. I just want to keep doing this. I'm pretty happy where I am right now. I have a nice apartment, decent internet. The only thing that could make my life any better than it already is just to be able to do this for a living and then to actually have a better computer than what I have right now. But other than those two things, there's really nothing else that could actually make my life any better. I'm pretty happy where I am currently. I've got a great apartment. I've got decent internet now. I'm not playing on my phone's hotspot anymore. I've got a great group of friends that are all passionate about the same thing that I am. Now, where do I see myself in the future with all this? I just really hope that I can keep doing this because I'm pretty happy with it. And so for the last question for the Q&A, I'm actually going to answer the most asked question. There were so many of you guys who asked them. I'll put them all on the screen right now. But the question was basically, how did I meet Jev and how did I start editing videos for him? Obviously, this was the most asked question just because I'm sure a lot of you guys came over from Jev's channel. He's given me a few shout outs over the past few months, which has just been insane. I went from 15,000 subscribers at the beginning of this year to 30,000 subscribers where we are now. We've literally doubled in subscribers since the beginning of 2017, which is just insane. But to answer your questions, I'm actually going to go really in depth with it this video because I know everybody's always asking me this. But how I met Jason would actually have to start when I first started watching him on YouTube. Obviously, you guys probably all know the big videos that got Jason's channel started on YouTube. You know, the old ass rage tages and him complaining about C4 and Vondahar and all that. He was just someone that I was subbed to on my old channel and I thought he was hilarious. And then I remember one day, because I was a huge nerd in high school and all I ever did was watch YouTube, I checked my sub boxes one day and I see that he joined FaZe, and I remember tweeting at him and saying congrats and all that. And it wasn't until like a few months or a year later, something like that, it was the fall of my senior year of high school, and I remember tweeting at him, being the little fanboy that I was, saying saying how much I loved him on Twitter and how I had been subscribed to him since he was in TK, but I remember him following me back and I remember freaking the fuck out. And then a few months passes after he had been following me for a while. Markiplier uploaded like a horror compilation. Markiplier has a bunch of horror compilations on his channel, but it was like a recent one that he had just uploaded that I saw in my sub box. And so I watched the Markiplier compilation, thought it was hilarious, but then I thought, you know, Jev plays a lot of horror games, why don't I make one for him? I knew that Eki was making all those rage tages and everything like that, but I didn't see anything like that for the horror games that he was playing. And so I was like, screw it, I'll make a horror compilation for him. And so it took me quite a while. I remember working on it for like a month, but then I finally finished it. I uploaded it to my channel and I DM'd it to him, asking him if he would want to use that. And he was like, yeah, dude, you did such a great job on this, I'll upload it. And so he uploaded it to my channel, and that was back in it was the beginning of 2015. And that was the first one I made for him. So I've been making him these compilations for over 2 years now. And you know, after that first horror compilation I made for him, I made a second one. And then I made him the Intel Dawn compilation and the Soma compilation. And then after the Request compilation, that's actually when he came to me and said, would you be down to make a rage taj? He had never had a rage taj on his channel before where there were actually like animated subtitles and pictures and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I'd be down to do it. And so I took so many videos. It was like all the videos from when MWR first came out all the way to the end of the year, downloaded all those videos, clipped all the parts where he raged, and then, you know, subtitled it and everything. And now that is the most viewed compilation I've ever made for him, sitting at over 1 million views. And then obviously after the rage taj, I made him the Resident Evil 7 compilation. But yeah, that's really just the full story of how I met Jason. I know it's not too interesting or anything like that. I've never met him in person or anything like that. I literally went from being a huge ass fanboy to this guy's editor to his friend. It's definitely crazy and something that I never actually thought was going to happen. The people he's known forever, you know, Andre, Shane, Blackman, and JT, and then obviously his girlfriend Alexis too. I've gotten to know all of them through him, and I'm just so glad over the years I've been able to go from that spot where I was to where I am now. Obviously it's not the most interesting story in the world, but it's still pretty crazy to me at least. Anyways, I hope that little story was detailed enough for how I met Jev. I know a lot of you guys asked that, but that is gonna have to do it for my 30,000 subscribers Q&A. Again, I just wanted to thank you all so much for 30,000 subscribers. I said it at the beginning of this video, but I'm just gonna say it again because the amount of growth we've had on this channel is absolutely insane, and a big thank you needs to be said. I really enjoy doing these Q&As for Milestones because I think you guys get to know me a little bit better through them. I get to tell some stories and maybe some facts that you didn't know about me. I'm a pretty basic person overall, though. I just sit in my room and play video games and make videos. But seriously, thank you guys all so much for 30,000 subscribers. I hope we can keep growing together as a community. I really enjoy doing YouTube and seriously can't see myself doing anything else. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. But until then, this has been Max. Peace.